If you're trying to make sense of the software market right now, you're not alone. It feels like you're getting whiplash, right? Some companies are posting these mind-blowing growth numbers, while others just seem to be stuck. It's like the whole industry is being torn into two completely different directions at the same time. And, well, it turns out that's exactly what's happened.
See, AI has basically dropped two giant opposing forces right into the middle of the software world. On one side, you have this massive tidal wave called consumption expansion. It's this huge surge in demand for all the raw computing power that AI needs to think. But on the other side, you've got this counterforce, seat compression, where AI is getting so good at automating tasks that it's just erasing the need for human software licenses.
So you've got this incredible split happening in real time. We're not talking about small adjustments here. We are seeing a fundamental reshuffling of company budgets, moving money from one part of the software world to another, right before our eyes.
And hey, don't just take my word for it. The data is screaming this story. Just look at the ISG index. In the last quarter of 2025, infrastructure as a service, the digital plumbing and electricity for AI, saw its contract value shoot up by 33% year over year. At the same time, software as a service, your classic pay-per-person subscription, grew by just 6%. That's not a gap, that's a canyon.
And this all boils down to the one huge question we have to answer. Is AI this rising tide that's going to lift all boats, making the whole software pie bigger for everyone? Or is it just reallocating the value, creating a new set of clear winners and, well, some very clear losers? Let's dig in.
All right, first up, let's talk about this consumption boom. This is the incredible wave of new spending that's being driven by AI's bottomless appetite for data and computing power. And honestly, there is no better poster child for this than Oracle.
Just try to wrap your head around this number. $553 billion. That's Oracle's total remaining performance obligation, or RPO. In simple terms, that's all the future revenue they already have locked in, signed on the dotted line. It is the clearest possible signal of future growth you can get.
So what's feeding that massive backlog? This is Oracle's core cloud business, OCI, is growing at a blistering 84% year over year. This is the raw horsepower, the digital muscle that AI models need to run, and the demand is just absolutely through the roof.
So you put it all together, and Oracle's total contracted future revenue has jumped 325% in 1 year. A huge piece of that pie is thanks to a massive deal they signed with OpenAI. This isn't just steady growth, folks. This is a seismic shift, and it's all driven by AI consumption.
And it's not just an Oracle story. Not at all. Look around. Microsoft's Azure revenue is up 34%. Snowflake, a company built entirely on this consumption model, has its backlog growing at 42%. The pattern is crystal clear. If you were selling the picks and shovels for the AI gold rush, business is booming.
But remember, that's only half the story. Now we have to flip the coin and look at the other side of this great divide, where AI is having the complete opposite effect.
This quote from the CEO of Monday.com, this should send a shiver down the spine of the entire traditional SaaS industry. They didn't just help their team. They replaced an entire 100-person department with AI, wiping out the need for 100 different software seats across who knows how many different tools.
So here's how this plays out. You start with a big team, right? 100 people, and every single one needs their own license for Salesforce, for an email tool, a calendar app, you name it. Then you bring in AI agents that can do that entire job, that whole workflow, automatically. And just like that, poof, all of those per-user, per-month subscriptions, they're just not necessary anymore.
And this, right here, is a direct assault on the fundamental business model of SaaS. One human gets one login, which equals one subscription. AI agents don't need a pretty user interface or a password. They just talk directly to the software's API, completely sidestepping the model that has ruled the tech world for over a decade.
Okay, so what happens when you're a giant company like Adobe or ServiceNow? For them, it's not a simple story of boom or bust. For these platforms, there's a war raging inside their own business, with both of these forces pulling in opposite directions.
Let's take Adobe. On the one hand, their AI-driven recurring revenue has more than tripled in a year. That looks like a huge win for consumption expansion. But here's the tricky part. Is this brand new money from new customers, or are they just getting their existing customers to pay more for AI features? We honestly don't know yet if this is true growth or just reshuffling their existing revenue.
And then you've got a workflow giant like ServiceNow. They see this shift coming, and they have completely pivoted their strategy. Instead of just building everything themselves like they used to, they're now making a massive bet by buying other companies. They are trying to build what they call an AI control tower to manage everything.
And when I say a huge bet, I mean it. In just the last year, they've dropped nearly $12 billion buying companies like Armis and Moveworks. The strategy here is to own the central platform that manages all these automated workflows, so they can capture the value no matter if it's a human or a bot doing the work. So, you've got these two massive forces totally reshaping the software landscape. What does it all mean? And more importantly, what should we be looking for as this whole thing plays out?
First things first, this is not a temporary trend. This is a structural shift. The data confirms it. Enterprise money is literally rotating out of one bucket, paying per person, and flowing directly into another, paying for the raw consumption of cloud power and AI platforms.
And this creates a pretty clear picture of who's set to benefit and who's at risk. The big winners, the platform and infrastructure players. Think Oracle and Microsoft, who sell the raw materials. Workflow platforms like ServiceNow are also in a great spot, if their big acquisitions pay off. And the ones most at risk? Well, it's any company whose entire business model is based on purely selling one seat at a time. So, if you want to keep score yourself over the next 6 to 12 months, these are the exact metrics to watch. First, does that SaaS growth number bounce back? Or is 6% the new normal? Second, are those giant backlogs, those RPOs, actually turning into real near-term cash? And maybe most important of all, do we start hearing more stories like Monday.com of entire teams being replaced by AI?
The big takeaway here is that the software world we've known for years is actively splitting into two. A deep chasm is opening up between the companies that power the AI and the companies that have traditionally served human users. So I'll leave you with a final thought. Take a second and think about the software tools you use every day. Which side of that divide are they on?